Welcome to week 9. We're going to be talking about property law. We'll begin our discussion with intellectual property. What you have to get out of this is that if you're a business person, you want to make sure you know about trademarks, copyrights, and patents. It's important to register your trademark. It's important with the federal U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. You'll see there's information on how to do this. And important to secure your domain names and your social media handles before you go out. Understand the differences between trademark, copyright, patent. Those are all set forth in your book as well as the video information I have for you. Trade secrets are a bit different. These include things like client lists, formulas, things like the formula for Coca-Cola, Kentucky Fried Chicken. These are normally protected in the contract as well as by state law. There's uniform trade secrets law. If you use somebody's trade secret without their permission, you're going to be held liable for that, obviously. Same thing with trademarks and any of the other intellectual property that we're talking about. These are protected intellectual property. The protection goes back to the U.S. Constitution, gives Congress the right to create laws to protect intellectual property, and that's to actually promote that. And as I said, you would register your trademark, your patent, your copyright with the federal government, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. There's also a thing called common law trademark, common law copyright, which provides you protection under the common law, but is not really the preferable way to do it. Trademark, definitely you want to register your trademark so you don't infringe. So talk a little bit about now personal property. These are anything that's movable. Just think personal property is anything other than real property or securities. So a personal property, anything that's movable, and you look at whether or not it's a gift, the type of, if it's a gift of personal property, the intent. A bailment is a term you should know. A bailment is a voluntary transfer of possession but not ownership to a middleman, like to have a watch repaired or this cup cleaned out or something like that, because there's some stuff down here. Anyway, if there's insurable interests that are associated with the bailment, if you transfer your watch and things like that to a jeweler who has the insurable interest there, it kind of goes back to our discussion on sale. Generally on real property, understand possessory interest is you have the right to possess the property. You'll see the term fee simple, life estate, non-possessory interest include things like licenses, easements, things like that. Very common with real property. Understand what a fixture is. A fixture begins as personal property, then is affixed to the real property, becomes part of the real property. So when you buy real property, the assumption is you're going to also buy the fixtures. A little bit about different types of joint ownership. Joint tenancy with right to survivorship is a very good vehicle to transfer property. If you own some property and want to avoid the hassle of what's called probate, that's a good way to do it. Adverse possession, kind of an odd concept. It's basically the idea that if someone squats on your property or uses your property for a sufficient number of years as defined by statute, they can claim ownership. Sounds weird, but the idea is that if you're not using it, somebody else's, the law will give them the property. Very important to be aware of that. Very common in boundary disputes. Eminent domain. This is where the government takes your money. Can be abused. It's been a subject to controversy with respect to use of very powerful interests getting to government officials to use their eminent domain power to condemn property. I mean, you in theory get just compensation, but you're kicked out of your house. Very controversial. Various environmental laws, just be aware of some of them. Clean Water Act in particular is something to be aware of. Clean Air Act. So lots of information here on videos, real versus personal property, what a bailment is. Lots of information on eminent domain, how that's abused. People don't think about it, but eminent domain normally, it's got to be two reasons that the government takes your property: public purpose, and they've got to pay you just compensation. But it's viewed as being abused by powerful interests who get to the government officials, the city council or whatever, take your property and turn it over to a developer. That kind of taking can also, that's a direct taking eminent domain, but it also can occur by regulations where the government just overregulates your real property use where you can't use it for anything else. Lastly, let me talk a little bit about landlord-tenant law. Some great resources here from Northwest Justice Project on your rights as a tenant. If you're going to be evicted or if there's a problem with your apartment, make sure you look at those and empower yourself and know what your rights are. Uh, uh, in particular, make sure you put in writing any problem you have with your apartment and make sure you have proof you gave it to your landlord because they have a certain period of time to respond to depending on the nature of the problem. So pay attention to that.